Hey everybody, welcome back. Today's Tuesday, February 9th, 2021. I'm Trey Crowder and that's Mark Agee. What's up, Mark?
What's up, Trey? It's been been a wonderful day for lawyers here. We're going to get to the impeachment trial, but did you see the cat Zoom thing?
No, I saw you sent a tweet to me and it got passed up in the voluminous amount of text in our ongoing text thread, so I missed it. Please explain. A lawyer is not a cat. He had to clarify to a judge. Is that right?
Yeah, it's pretty great. This dude is in a Zoom hearing, and apparently his kid or somebody had used his Zoom account and turned on a filter that turns a human into a cat, and he's
Yeah.
like some old red dude, so he couldn't figure out how to get it off. So he's just like basically essentially tells the judge, "Can we just move on like this?" Where he's talking as a cat and says, I am here and I'm not a cat."
Was this like a criminal proceeding?
I don't have any context. I don't know.
Okay, because just imagine if you're like, imagine if that's like a public defender or the equivalent. Do you know what I mean? Like, and you're like in your first court hearing, and it's a Zoom hearing to start with on some trumped up bullshit you've been charged with, and then your lawyer logs on to the Zoom with the judge, and it's a cat's face talking the whole time, and he's like, "Listen, I don't know how to turn this cat. Just so everybody knows, I'm here. I'm not a cat. I know I look like a cat. I know you see a cat talking, but this injustice will not stand. Imagine it's not a cat. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
that's
I
rough."
kind of I kind of think you either got to change your plea to guilty or assume that this guy's a genius and he's set you up for an automatic appeal for inadequate counsel. So maybe
Yeah.
that's it. Yeah.
All right. So with us as always is producer Matt doing his thing. This is Evening Skews. Got a good show for you tonight. We're going to talk about the much anticipated reboot of the Donald Trump impeachment franchise.
Impeachment
Garner,
2, the search for Curly's gold, baby.
that's right. Yeah, garnering a lot of attention. Some people claiming some of the plot details are being rehashed, but the real question is, what are they going to do about the ending? Go a different direction or keep it the same? I think we all anticipate the same answer to that question, but me and Mark will talk about it all the same. Got some other fun stuff for you, including Neera Tanden, the proposed new head of the Office of Management and Budget, her propensity for shit talk, which has made me an instant fan. If you haven't heard about that, I think you'll appreciate it. All that and more on tonight's Evening Skews. But first, as always, we begin with the Daily Dumbass. Matt, graphic, please. Tonight's DD is anybody out there who believed that American hostilities in the country of Vietnam were a thing of the past. Yes, it pains me to report that this week, American ambassador to the country of Vietnam, Dan Crittenbrink, launched the following full on assault on the hearts, minds, and especially ears of the Vietnamese people. I should warn you, what you're about to see is pretty shocking. Matt, play the clip, please.
Time for introductions are at hand. Hi, my name is Dan. I'm from Nebraska. I'm not a big city boy. Then 3 years ago I moved to Hanoi. Check the calendar, Ted is coming soon. Kanta
Look
and
at this
Danang are
G,
in
Mark.
the mood.
This guy.
Suin, oi, suin, dave. Clean the house now, friends are on the way. Grab the Hua Mai and Hua Dao. Get ready to party from Hazang to Kam now. Ted
Oh,
in
God,
Vietnam
oh,
is the tops.
I think we can declare
Love the
victory in the
hot
Eastern
spots and
Hemisphere,
hot
Western
pots.
Hemisphere rap war, though.
I drink cafe soda, not cappuccinos. Bring Lisi with me everywhere that we go. Cash for the kids, blessings for the family, love for my parents and everyone around me. Now my being from mine to yours, from my shores to your shores, our friendship
Producer
endures.
Matt just sent us
US
a
and
thing in the text
Vietnam,
that says he
from now
is
to
the best
forever,
rapper from
we're
Nebraska.
trusted.
That is the most, like, who says American culture on the global stage is dead, Mark? You know what I mean? Like, we're still hitting them with it out there. That's that real Nebraska rap coming straight for you, Vietnam.
Yeah, I mean, ambassadors in some sense are supposed to be a walking advertisement for American-style democracy, and I can't imagine a bigger backfire than saying, if you convert to a constitutional republic, you will get this shit.
Right. Yeah.
Pandering, dumb shit. I looked this guy up, and he's a career diplomat So he's a Trump appointee, but he's been in the State Department since 1994. So he's trying. He's earnest. Whatever. I don't know. Quit rapping, man. Quit rapping.
Clearly, well, I mean, I say clearly. Yeah, that probably wasn't his idea, right? Like clearly that was brought to him. I would imagine it was pitched to him. And also, what about those vocals, Mark? You think he got in the booth and laid that down? Ambassador Dan, you think that's really him? Obviously, he's lip syncing in the video. We all know that. But like, is that actually his flow? Is that Dan's flow? You think?
I don't think you wrote it, but to go to your.
Oh, he definitely didn't write it.
Yeah, but it does have I don't think this is something someone pitched and he approved. To me, this feels like a boss's idea that his underlings couldn't talk him out of.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, you're probably right, actually. I agree with you. But do you think that's him, like, that's actually him laying it down? Yeah, because it's not like I'm sitting here saying, hard for me to believe that that's Ambassador Dan because, listen to that flow. It's so silky smooth. It's not that. It's just like, I don't know. I just wonder. I wonder if that's his actual voice.
He is. I'll give him some credit. He's attempting some lyricism there in a way. Like he's not doing that usual staccato dad rap where they rap like they haven't heard any rap since 1982, where it's like, my name is Dan and I'm here to say. He's trying to rap to be a little bit. So I'll give him a little credit.
Yeah. All right, we got some honorable mentions for you tonight. The first one is Seth Rogen for being speciesist. Did I say that right, Mark? Speciesist.
Sure.
Against people who use dog shampoo.
And none of it went anywhere until the other day when he did a throwaway tweet revealing that for the last 3 months
it was not a throwaway
accidentally
tweet.
been washing his hair with his dog's shampoo. And next thing you know, big-time Hollywood star Seth Rogen and small-time lefty hack Keith Olbermann.
So this guy tweeted he'd been using his dog shampoo for months.
On him.
Yeah,
Seth Rogen went in. Please watch the chyrons, the graphics
as I
at the
think you
bottom.
put it in one of your
Over the course of
tweets,
this video. I love them.
This escalated rather quickly.
Yeah, it was really strange. It was supposed to be this self-deprecating joke.
It was not a joke. It was not a joke. It was a complaint
and
about.
then I don't know. I think I walked my dog, and then I checked my phone. It was like Seth Rogen was calling me names. It was a very surreal way to spend my Sunday morning.
And then that
Journalists
thing
mock
that
for
happens
using dog
that you
shampoo as
really
the guy
don't
on
want
the
when you're
podcast
in a
with
Twitter spat with
God.
Seth Rogen is that your mum decided to chip in on your behalf and suggest that he work this into a subplot for his next movie.
Yeah.
And you didn't appreciate that.
His mom said, "Hey Seth, in your next movie, John should play the pet shampoo
when
guy."
family members jump in. But I was very.
I gotta say, I could see him fitting that role, Mark.
My
Look at that,
Kyra.
Like, adult journalist mom defends him from Seth Rogen.
With certainly people who are more famous than me, like Gad Saad and Rudolph Giuliani. And I was giving him the benefit of the doubt. I said, "Hey, look, I love your movies. Maybe you're having a bad weekend or something like that." But I kind of gave him the opportunity to say, "Hey, you know what? I have 9 million followers, and here I am chasing down some random Toronto journalist. You're right. I'm being stupid. I'm the one being stupid." But he never got to that point. It was really it was disappointing. I like Seth Rogen's movies.
Well,
I was disappointed.
Listen to this part.
He seems like a nice guy when you look him on the screen.
This is unbecoming of you because he said, "I thought you were the most stupid guy on the planet for the dog shampoo thing."
So, how many different ways can this guy get punked over one dog shampoo tweet? Do you know what I mean? He got all this shit from Seth Rogen, everybody. Then they bring him on Fox News to talk about it. The chyrons just passive aggressively rip into his ass the whole time. And at the end of it, the host basically calls him a bitch for not standing up to Seth Rogen. He's like, whoa. You can't put up with this shit. What the hell's wrong with you, man? This dude got put through it.
So to recap, what happened was last weekend, this guy tweeted a picture of a shampoo bottle and said he realized he'd accidentally been using dog shampoo for 3 months and blamed it on the small font that said it was a dog shampoo. Meanwhile, it's a giant picture of a
dog on the front of the bottle. It's a happy, clean dog on the front of your shampoo bottle, and nothing clued him in that maybe that was dog shampoo.
He absolutely was not joking. It was a sincere complaint about the poor packaging on the cover of Arm& Hammer dog shampoo. And then when everybody made fun of him for it, every one of these cancel culture dudes is essentially just can't take it that they're being made fun of, right? You did something stupid. You're being made fun of for it. Just take the L, right? Just take the L. They can't do it. They can't fucking take it. So instead, the guy who was trying to cancel dog shampoo gets made fun of by Seth Rogen, and now is trying to cancel Seth Rogen for Seth Rogen was trying to cancel him. It's fucking insane. Yeah, these dudes annoy the shit out of me.
How do you think the logistics of that worked out? Like how that actually started? I don't know whether this guy's married or not or whatever, but did he like get in the shower and just that bottle of shampoo was in there because his wife had put the dog shampoo in the shower? Or like surely he didn't select that from the what even section would that be in? That would be in the pet section, wouldn't it? Like how do you end up using dog shampoo without knowing it?
I think we're going to find out at the end of this is he's been getting all of his groceries at PetSmart. He just like totally misunderstood what it is. And yeah, that's how he's been living for the years.
All right. Our next honorable mention for Daily Dumbass is the noted demon and scourge of the underworld, Baphomet, or however the hell you say it. I thought it was Baphomet, but apparently that's not how it's pronounced. But y'all know him. You love him. Satanic demon of much renown, who apparently had a lot to do with the insurrection at the Capitol on January 6th. If you don't believe it, for me, take it straight from this man of the cloth here, who spells it out for you.
Were you able to feel the effect of the exorcism?
Not with our eyes, no.
And what has the Capitol?
There's a demon called Bahamut.
Bahamut.
And exorcists have found out that he's the one who's dissolving the country in order to bring it into something different.
I knew Bahamut was up to some shit.
Yeah.
Back together.
Yeah, take her off.
And so there's exorcists have said that that's one of the Satan's generals, demons, one of his generals, and he's the one who's doing it.
So this guy, this dude y'all see here,
and that means dissolve.
look here, explains right here, solve et coagula, solution and coagulation, which you can see how that ultimately proves the influence of the devil on the government. You can turn this lunatic off, Matt, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, that's from that just surfaced, but it's from January 6th. And what he's saying, like he's saying that he deciphered this plot by looking at a demon's tattoos that he
and he performed an exorcism live in person at the Capitol building on January 6th to exorcise the goat demon from his position of influence over the American government at that time or whatever. And because there's a Latin slogan involved, you could see how all that makes sense, you know.
Yeah, there was a really funny part later in that video. We don't have time to get to it, but the reporter asked him about QAnon, is like interviewing about QAnon, and he says, "But QAnon's against pedophilia, and that must put you in a weird spot as a priest." And he's like, "Well, we're against it too. We're against it." It's like, yeah, I mean, I guess officially, yeah, that is true on paper.
Got him.
Yeah.
All right. Our next honorable mention for Daily Dumbass is anybody who actually believed that QAnon was a real problem. Turns out, very fringe, Mark. You put that screen grab up there, Matt. Yes, CNN Politics had a poll showing that less than 10% of Americans like QAnon. Although reading into this, that was a poll that originated from NBC News. And so you got to wonder about, you know, the selection pool that they're drawing from and what it actually means. But how fringe is this, Mark?
All these posters were all over the internet a couple days ago, Brett, showing this. Like, people need to calm down. This isn't a real thing. Only 10% of people of Americans support it. One, Q's in 85 countries. It's not just in America. Two, 10% of America is 33 million
people. Right.
That is more than enough to overthrow the government. Three, most people who believe in certain Q tenets wouldn't sign up to be Q supporters because they don't necessarily know they're Q supporters. Like the whole Dominion voting machine thing is that originated in Q message boards and trickled up to the president of the fucking United States. And as Matt's pointing out to us right now, the there's a theory that goes that once 3% of people went over to the government, it's materially achievable, which is why the 3% militia is called the 3% militia. They're just trying to get to 3%. They've already tripled it. So,
right.
Yeah.
But also, just there's a lot of problems with this to me because, like I said, first of all, like who are they? the base that they're polling to begin with, but also like I don't know that much about these people. You know more about them than I do. I know some of them are very loud and proud, but it seems to me that a lot of like, conspiracy theorists of this particular devotion would not be inclined to self-identify to a public poll as being devoted to this conspiracy theory. You know what I mean? Because that's how they catch you, Mark. You don't want to end up on a list from the baby blood drinking government. That's how you fuck up, by telling them what you think. You got to keep that a secret, right? Like, there's a lot of problems with this to me.
Yeah, I mean, there's a poll a couple weeks ago that said that like 50%, more than 50% of Republicans think Q is at least somewhat true, and the somewhat part is just as scary to me as the 10% part, which is like the 10% of the people that are willing to say they support all of it and like all of it, and will tell it to a pollster. That's insane. And even like calling it conspiracy theory, there's been a lot of pushback on social science researchers. Like, it's because this isn't just a conspiracy theory; it's a unified belief system that's fascistic and wants mass death. And and people have acted on it. 5 people died at the Capitol. There's a guy trying to blow up a bridge in Nevada. Like, there's a bunch of several murders connected to Q. This one lady. This is a really funny case. I think we might have talked about it last year. But this 2 Q people. This dude convinced this woman that Child Protective Services has taken her kids away as part of the deep state cabal. And when he couldn't help her get her kids back, she killed him because she assumed he was in on it and then fled to another state. Like, these people have bodies on them. It's not just like they aren't just people that are on the internet saying the moon landing's fake. So,
yeah. All right, but
let's do a fun one.
Right. Yes. Let's do a fun one. I like this one. I'm a fan of this person. If you guys haven't heard, Neera Tanden is President Biden's new cabinet nominee for the position of head of the Office of Management and Budget, which, having worked for the government in the past, the OMB is kind of like the umbrella. They like survive. They govern the rest of the government, kind of.
If you don't know who Neera Tanden is, by the way, a brief primer. She's like from the Clinton world, and she's one of those like DC creatures where she's like a consultant and makes like $400,000 or $500,000 a year doing various stuff. And she's also extremely online. Like, she's mainly known for arguing with the Bernie supporters and calling them names on Twitter, which is why this is really funny, because she's just too online and she couldn't stop shit posting. And now
she just can't help herself but talk shit on the internet. That's a big thing with her. And she's now, being confirmed by the Senate, and they're bringing this to bear. They're putting it in front of her, making her answer for her crimes on the internet, which are pretty egregious, guys. Matt, you can play the clips whenever you're ready. You're not going to believe the shit she said.
With the removal of more than 1,000 tweets, there's still a lot of harsh partisan tweets on your account. I found through my staff, there are still 9 pages of tweets about Senator Ted Cruz, for example. How did you choose which tweets you wanted to delete and which ones you wanted to keep on your account?
Okay, so you got 9. That's all right, Matt. Go ahead and play the next one. Go ahead. So she got 9 pages of tweets just about Ted Cruz. But what do these tweets say? Well, again, shocking content. But Matt, play some examples here of what they say. Horrific stuff. Matt, you got it? Matt out there? He could come.
With the removal of more than 1,000 tweets, there's still a lot.
That's the same one again. Anyway,
he's gonna find it. He's gonna find it. So yes, shoot. Yeah, he'll get it up there. But
it's just the dynamic is funny to me because they're accusing her of embarrassing all these senators and then reading all the things that supposedly embarrassed them. It'd be like if you're like, oh, Mark, the school, my mom called the school principal and was like, here's a list of things the kids said about Mark. His dick's tiny. He's bad at basketball. He deserves to be in the special needs. It's like, come on, Mom, why you just read it over the intercom?
It's also an obvious take that's been pointed out a million times, but it's true. Is that it's like, we're the snowflakes. Do you know what I mean? Like they get so upset about any kind of aggressive, negative chatter in their general direction. and then talk about how we're the sensitive snowflake side that's, PC culture easily offended and that type of thing. And that's also what makes it bullshit.
Yeah, that's what. I mean, it's so extremely funny because the only reason they're doing this is try to dunk on Biden because like, how can you say you're trying to go for unity when? Here we go.
Here we
Sorry,
go.
you can play it out.
Here we go.
I believe that the tone, the content, and the aggressive partisanship of some of your public statements have added to the troubling trend of more incivility and division in our public life.
Sure.
And in your case, I'm concerned that your personal attacks about specific senators will make it more difficult for you to work with them.
Made it personal.
Just to mention a few of the thousands of negative public statements,
Listen,
you wrote that Susan Collins is, quote, the worst, that Tom Cotton is a fraud,
no.
that vampires have more heart than Ted Cruz.
What? She
You
dared?
called Leader McConnell Moscow Mitch and Voldemort, and on and on. I wonder specifically, how do you plan to mend fences and build relationships with members of Congress you have
Imagine
attacked
the
through your public
audacity
statements?
of a person
I believe that the tone, the
to
content, and
compare
the
Mitch
aggressive
McConnell to
partisanship of
Voldemort,
some of
Mark. Imagine the disregard you have to have for common human decency to just go on the internet and say something like Moscow Mitch or compare him to Voldemort or call Susan Collins the worst. Surely she's not the worst, Mark. People murder. She can't be the worst. This is egregious.
My takeaway from this is I will never be director of the Office of Management.
Thank you. I swear to God, I was going to bring up the exact same thing. I thought I had the exact same thought looking at this because Corey, senior Georgia correspondent Corey Ryan Forster was on here last week, and we were talking about people trying to get him to run for office and why that was a bad idea. And we were talking about that. And this is a great example. Like, people have also said to me I should run for office in Tennessee or whatever. And it's just, y'all, it's never going to happen. Okay. And this is why, because like she's getting raked over the coals for saying Susan Collins is the worst on Twitter. And y'all, I don't even remember the guy's name, which I'm fine with, but Trump's first head of the EPA, I once tweeted that it would be funny if he got raped by a tree. So like, that's the type of shit that I'm out here saying. I had said something else about that guy, and my tweets got pulled down by Twitter, so I felt like I was being censored by the man, so I just went on a tear saying the most ridiculous shit about this dude that I could think of. But like I said, I hope Donald Trump died in a horrific hairspray accident and just all kind like so much worse shit than calling Susan Collins the worst. Like, it just ain't never gonna happen.
they're extremely normie insults. It's like calling him Voldemort. That's
Yeah,
the one, like
Voldemort. He ain't even bald, man. Mitch McConnell, he's not even bald.
and also like I was saying earlier, like they're trying to like dunk on Biden for not being a unifier because he's appointing people who are saying mean shit on the internet. But what they don't get is like, and I think Biden's actually like playing it pretty cool, where it's like he's not paying attention to them. He's talking about unity by doing things that are broadly popular, like passing a COVID relief bill and shit like that. People like that stuff. Nobody cares about Ted Cruz's feelings. Literally no one. He's polling underwater in Texas since January 6th. You could set Ted Cruz on fire in the well of the Senate and nobody would piss on him. It doesn't matter.
The other thing on that note is, and I'm not trying to sound like any kind of badass or anything at all when I say this, but like if I was in her position with this exact scenario, I would be literally incapable of saying you're right, that was way out of bounds and I truly apologize for that. Like I just wouldn't be able to say anything other than, yeah, well, I mean, he is a he is a dipshit. Nobody likes that. You really gonna look at me and act like and talk like people like Ted Cruz more than vampires because I call shenanigans, sir. Like I just wouldn't be able to. I wouldn't be able to act like I didn't think the things that I said that I thought about these assholes who I can't stand in the first place. I wouldn't be able to swallow my tongue like that. I just couldn't do it.
And dude, Biden put her in like the most, like, it's like, a place you put someone where you don't want them to have to talk to anybody. She's got the most boring menial
Right.
job where she doesn't
Yeah,
have
most
anything to
regular
do.
people don't. They don't know what they don't know what the OMB is, because the OMB is like an intra-governmental thing. If you're
Yeah.
in the government, you know all about the OMB, but your average person don't know or care about the OMB at all. So yeah.
If Biden wanted to really unite the left and the right, he'd be like, "You're welcome. I got near attendant off the internet."
All right. So hell, we're almost
Impeachment. Yeah.
we're almost halfway through it, and let's get into the rest of the show. Like we said, impeachment 2, the search for Curly's gold. Mark, how are you feeling about it so far?
Okay, there's never been a president impeached twice. No president's ever been impeached after he left office. This is a very historic day that doesn't matter at all. It's like, has a very anticlimactic feel to it. It's like, yeah, they should impeach him. We're going to go through. They're going to see. I mean, I hope they have some like actual evidence that we don't know about yet from who was involved and how to connect these dots. And because somebody at the White House was fucking in contact with somebody. I bet Stephen Miller is on white supremacist message boards that 16 hours a day he's not working. I fucking bet all my money. But I don't know. It was a wild day. Trump's the main thing you need to know is that Trump's lawyers had an even worse day than the Cat Zoom lawyer. Just pick one of the videos where that shows how much they suck and play it, Matt.
Their families. They love the states that they represent. There isn't a member in this room who has not used the term, "I represent the great state of," fill in the blank.
Who gives a fuck?
Why? Because they're all great? Yeah. But you think yours is greater than others because these are your people.
This is like I forgot my book report was due and I'm rambling.
Right. Here to do their work. They trusted you with the responsibility of representative government.
What even is this supposed to be meaning?
You know, I feel proud to know my senators. Senator Casey up here in the back.
You can cut it off, Matt. I think because it's just like that. It's just like he's saying. The point of that was to show you he's saying a bunch of nothing. He's just filibustering.
Right.
There's nothing.
Like you said, like you said, you forgot you had a book report until the night before it was due, and you just filled up. You just said the same nonsensical thing over and over again that didn't really mean anything. Just you got to hit that word count. You got to hit that word quota.
Yeah, and it's like it also doesn't understand. Like he's winding up he does this long lead up to his eventual point is that everyone needs to calm down and we need to be more civil and just focus on doing the people's business and not have such heated rhetoric like impeaching the president for getting 5 people killed, 7 people if you count the 2 cops that killed themselves in the week afterwards.
Well, hey, listen, Mark, listen. You shouldn't cast stones if you live in a glass house, okay? You know what I mean? Like, sure, he got a bunch of Americans killed, a bunch of people on his side he believed in. Sure, that happened. But you know what? Sometimes things happen, right? Matt, play the clip when you got it.
Everyone makes mistakes. Everyone's entitled to a mulligan once in a while.
See, Mark, like, look, who among us has not accidentally incited a seditionist, treasonous riot on the grounds of the U.S. Capitol and caused the deaths of numerous American citizens, and then later balked on the facts of the matter? Like, it happens. This stuff happens, Mark. And
sometimes you're hungover the day after the Super Bowl. You haven't had your coffee yet. You get a little upset, and you accidentally overthrow the government. It fucking happens.
Right, exactly.
Anybody
it happens. And especially rich white men in America, you get some mulligans, okay? That's how it works. We've all accepted that. Hey, sure, he's had a few mulligans already, but who's to say he shouldn't have another mulligan for this new treason? Let's just be reasonable here, guys. Things happen. Treason happens.
That guy was absolutely incompetent. His other lawyer was a little crazy. We'll get to that guy in a second. But just to fill you in on who these dudes are, that lawyer is named Bruce Castor. Castor has been a prosecutor off and on for a long time and in politics. He's most prominently known because he's a prosecutor who declined to go after Bill Cosby for sexual assault in 2005, saying the evidence was insufficient. And then
I shouldn't have laughed at that. It's just so on the nose. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just so overtly villainous
Yeah.
To a degree that it almost couldn't be any more overtly villainous, that it just defies explanation, man. It seems unreal.
It gets worse, Trey, because his point in 2005 was they didn't have enough evidence, and that might be true because more women came forward after that. But when Cosby was actually going to trial in like 2017 or 18 or in 2016, he went and testified that they shouldn't prosecute Bill Cosby because he did a handshake deal and promised that Bill Cosby would never be prosecuted, and the judge.
Mark, had to be like, Pinky swore. Right? This man crossed his heart, Mark, and he hoped to die. Okay, that's what he did. He crossed his heart and hoped to die. He promised Bill Cosby would never be prosecuted, and you expect him to go back on that just because 40 more women came out and said they were raped by him? Come on.
11 years later, he's like, but I told him he could get away with it, so you guys gotta let him off.
I gave him my word.
Yeah. So his other lawyer is David Schoen, and I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly. I apologize if I'm not. It's Schoen. He most recently represented Roger Stone during his trial related to the Mueller investigation. But after that, he represented Jeffrey Epstein, and he gave an interview earlier this month, like last week, saying that he believes that Epstein didn't kill himself because he was in too good of a mood the last time he talked to him, which is
Epstein walking on clouds, dude, and they're in the
So you got to remember that this dude, he's representing Trump now. Trump was running the Justice Department when he's saying Epstein was murdered. Trump had Epstein. Epstein obviously had a ton of dirt hypothetically on Trump, right? So his basically argument is that Trump couldn't have done the incitement to the riot because he was too busy covering up the murder of my other clients. So that fucking hit. Anyway, so this guy, this is the guy you're about to see, who decided to read a poem from Longfellow, who was Lincoln's favorite poet, and we'll show you a few seconds of that, Matt. You got it.
Yeah, it's very touching.
Rang what hammers beat, and what a forge and what a heat were shaped the angers of thy hope. Fear not each sudden sound and shock. 'Tis of the wave, excuse me, 'tis of the wave and not the rock. 'Tis but the flapping of the sail and not a rent made by the gale. In spite of rock and tempest's roar, in spite of false lights on the shore, sail on, not fear to breast the sea. Our hearts, our hopes are all with thee.
You know, in this guy's mind, that's a slave ship that's in the poem. You know what I mean? He's just thinking about the adversity that this slave ship faces. Just brings a man to tears. You know, he's moved by it.
So that's a poem Lincoln liked about Longfellow. It's a ship of state is surviving all this upheaval and stuff. Longfellow wrote that in 1850, I think, or something like that.
Yes, to be clear, I'm not saying it's actually that Longfellow's ship is a slave ship. I'm saying this guy has retconned it in his head to be a slave ship. That's why he's moved to tears by it.
And also they always also bring up the Lincoln's first inaugural address. We talks about a house divided itself cannot stand. But what happened after 1850 and 1860? Is the South seceded, tried to murder everybody in the North, and then shot Lincoln in the fucking head. So how that poem and speech go over that they keep citing as a reason to forgive Trump? You know what I'm saying? Like how did forgiveness work out for those two dudes? So anyway, as we went over the show, Lincoln fucked up by not hanging a bunch of Confederate generals to make it clear what they had done. But it's a different argument.
And this guy fucked up by displaying some human emotion, not a appreciated attribute in the Trump inner circle. This guy, he cried in public while talking about Donald Trump, and that's not a thing that Trump likes, right, Mark?
Nah, Tim O'Brien, who was one of his biographers, who then later got sued by Trump for insinuating he was only rich and not mega rich. She got sued for defamation for saying Trump was only worth a couple $100 million. Anyway, but according to him, Trump told him once, quote, "I don't believe in crying. It's just not my thing. But when I see a man cry, I view it as a weakness. I don't like seeing men cry."
Hold on, Mark. The full quote, because I like this part. You left out, says, "I have nothing against it when someone cries, but when I see a man cry, I view that as a weakness. I don't like seeing men cry."
Nah, I mean, and then he goes, he told his role model for how to behave in court was mob boss John Gotti. Quote, "He went through years of trials. He sat with a stone face. He said, 'Fuck you.' In other words, tough."
Yep.
Yeah. So
yes, like Trump's role model is a guy who definitely did all this horrible shit he was accused of doing, but while facing justice for his actions, sat there stone-faced and refused to cry about it and was a badass. So basically, just do whatever the fuck you want, refuse to apologize for it, and everybody else can go fuck themselves.
Yeah.
And that's the John Gotti / Donald Trump way.
If I got to be honest, I like to think I'd have some dignity, but if I were on trial for murder and racketeering, I'd probably cry like a bitch the whole time. But anyway, that made Trump's knowing that background made this reaction from Trump, the horrible long-winded rant by Castor and then Schoen crying. This reaction fairly predictable. If you have that CNN clip, Matt.
Not think that was a strong opening argument, and then to have the first attorney admit that he believed the House impeachment managers did a good job also was confusing to a lot of people on the president's team. But yes, Trump was not happy with that performance. He was borderline screaming over what was going on as he was talking to people about.
Give the man back his Twitter account, Trey, please, just for a day.
Yeah, we were talking earlier today. I randomly remembered, no one else is going to remember this because in the deluge of Trump tweets, why would you remember this one? But one day he seemingly out of nowhere, turns out something had happened behind the scenes, but seemingly out of nowhere, Trump just tweeted out just this barrage of personal insults against John Bolton, the former head of the CIA, where he was just like, I'm paraphrasing, but this isn't that far off, where he was just like, of all the boring, stupid, ineffectual losers I ever crossed paths with in my life, John Bolton is one of the dumbest, boringest, loseriest ones of all time. And like,
when he's right, he's right.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, he's spitting, but like, I feel like Twitter should maybe allow him to tweet, but only about certain things, like John Bolton or other people like that. Like, just let him talk shit about other people in his inner circle. Like, I'd be fine with that. That would hit for me.
Let him get on social media and gin up some death threats against the idiots who were dumb enough to volunteer to be his lawyers. Right? They're in the deep state now because they're fucking tanking this. It was like, they did such a bad job that even Newsmax was slamming them. If you have that clip.
What are you making of Bruce Castor's argument so far? Where is he heading with this?
There is no argument. I have no idea what he's doing. I have no idea why he's saying what he's saying. He's introducing himself. I'm a nice guy. I like my senators. I know my senators. Senators are great people. Come on. The American people are entitled to an argument, a constitutional argument.
You don't have an argument.
Will be
right. So what else are you going to do?
But just after all kinds of very strong.
I'm obviously not sitting here. I'm not watching it otherwise, Mark. Of course I'm not.
Emotional speech
Newsmax.
By Congressman Ratcliffe, my former student.
I'm kind of confused by Newsmax. Matt, you can turn that off.
We know that hard cases make bad.
Because, we had that clip, and it was that same guy, that same co-host last week who had the My Pillow dude on there and got up and walked out because the My Pillow guy wouldn't stop talking about the vote, the voter fraud conspiracy, the stealing the election conspiracy or whatever. What is Newsmax even like is this just how egregious these particular lies are? Is that even this right of Fox News organization that's cropped up can't fuck with it? Because that's wild to me. Because to me, it's like, why are you even there, Newsmax, if it's not to just fillet all of these anything remotely pro-Trump,
So, all right. So, going back to like one of the reasons QAnon became so popular is because Trump's presidency wasn't going well. There had to be a secret reason why it secretly was or it secretly wasn't. Right. So you need an explanation. So Newsmax is watching Trump look like an idiot, and they need to find a deeper reason why. It must be because his lawyers suck. Right. There must be a good argument there that they're just not making.
Okay. Because yes. Okay. Yeah. They can put it off on this dude. Like, even though they're talking shit about the guy that represents their guy, they're not talking shit about their guy. They're deflecting the responsibility onto the lawyer, whatever. It's like, well, his lawyers suck, but like, who hired the lawyers? Like, I don't know.
He had another team of crazier lawyers who were going to say the shit he wanted them to say. The election was stolen. I mean, like the way they wouldn't say the election was stolen, and he fired all of them and replaced them because he didn't want to pay them. And then he got these two dudes to do it pro bono, I guess, or way cheaper. And they're just like, because they're not getting paid much, they didn't fucking work that hard. They Googled a poem and then cried about it. And then look up the Wikipedia entry for democracy and just read off of it.
All right. So, okay. All this having been said, what's your actual expectation for the outcome of this second impeachment trial where the Senate is concerned?
Today was just a warm-up day. It was there wasn't much evidence about guilt or is it. Today was just basically they did the opening statements and then argued about whether it was constitutional or not to have an impeachment hearing about somebody who wasn't sitting in office anymore. By the way, a president's never been impeached after he's left office, but other officials have been impeached after they left office. It's like it's not even really an argument that it's unconstitutional. But they had this fake vote about whether it's constitutional or not. And Rand Paul proposed a resolution a week or two ago where they voted on the same thing. There was 55-45. Today, one more Republican, Bill Cassidy from Louisiana. So it was 56-44 that's constitutional. So it's proceeding to trial. And Bill Cassidy was funny. He gave an interview to CNN where he basically said he flipped his vote, not because he changed his mind on the opinions. He just thought the lawyers sucked so hard he had to vote against them. So hit play on that, Matt.
House managers were focused. They were organized. They relied upon both precedent, the Constitution, and legal scholars. They made a compelling argument. President Trump's team were disorganized. They did everything they could but to talk about the question.
They cried like women, Mark.
They kind of glided over it, almost as if they were embarrassed of their arguments.
They are.
Now, if I'm an impartial juror, and one side's doing a great job, and the other side's doing a terrible job on the issue at hand, as an impartial juror, I'm going to vote for the side that did the good job.
All right. Well, you're not a impartial juror, but
Trump's lawyers, man, getting roasted.
I don't particularly have. I don't have lawyer brain. Lawyer brain is sort of fascinating to me. I like listening to like legal podcasts where lawyers who are pretty funny about it will try to explain lawyer brain to people. But this is because I make decisions about what I believe based on what I think is right and what I think is wrong. Mm-hmm. Technicalities don't really sway me a huge amount.
Yeah, right.
But here's a guy who's saying he changed his mind on what the Constitution says because these two dumbasses lost the debate club. So
I know, right. This is not like it's so hard for me to wrap my brain around some of these people's brains because it's like if you just knew only that about that guy we just showed, you would think like, oh, this is a rational, logical human being who's in a position of leadership who's just, making decisions based on what has been presented to him, right? Mm-hmm. But knowing the track record of him and his ilk, this seems odd and out of left field for them to. So, like, at what point, like, where is the turning point, where they decide to actually act logically or whatever? Because it's not like they've been doing the opposite of what this guy's saying for the past 4 years, i.e., pretending like Trump's obvious bullshit wasn't bullshit the whole time and trying to back it up. Why not now?
I mean, there's no bottom to this stuff. I mean, McConnell voted no today. Okay, so just to travel back, think of what's funny about Bill Cassidy is like I don't really need to watch the impeachment hearing to know what I think happened on January 5th because I was alive that day. He was in the fucking building and almost got murdered. So it seems like he would have a good handle of what happened that day and who was responsible for it. It's all bullshit. But McConnell is even worse because like he voted no, saying that he thinks it's unconstitutional for a non-sitting president to be impeached. Whereas he could have impeached him while he was sitting, he refused to. He dragged his feet into the point where he said it was unconstitutional. After signaling to Democrats that when right after this Capitol was stormed, he was mad enough to impeach Trump. He's flip-flopped 3 times on this, and it's just always the coward's way out. And he always wins because he's fucking cynical, and he doesn't care whether you think he's an asshole or not. So,
right.
I guess there's a lesson there somewhere.
All right, Matt, you can start throwing up some questions and comments whenever you see them. What do y'all think is going to happen with the second impeachment? And also, beyond that, Trump's political future, any of that shit? Because obviously that, him actually being convicted and whatnot would prevent him by law from running again in 2024. Whereas if they stick to their guns about, there's no need to impeach him or to convict him now because he's already out of office, he'll be totally free to return in 4 years. And I would feel a lot better about it if we shut that down completely. But I wonder, like, do you think, let's say for a second they don't convict him, Mark, like how worried are you about 2024 and, Trump's return or whatnot?
A solid Sturgill Simpson reference.
Troy Turner says it's turtles all the way down. That's right. Mitch McConnell, it's just a bunch of Mitch McConnells up there fucking shit up.
I think Sturgill was thinking about drugs, but yeah.
No, it's a reference to the great turtle that the world is on the back of a great turtle, which itself is on the back of another great turtle, and it's just turtles all the way down the line. Mark, it's a cosmic metaphysical statement that had nothing to do with drugs. I mean, yeah, it was drugs, but it was all that.
Yeah, it's like what it feels like to do DMT or mushrooms or something, right?
Yeah, it was all that. It's turtles all the way down the line, baby. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, I forget what we're even fucking talking about.
Trump's just him running again or whatever.
I'd be surprised if his health was good. I mean,
right.
The course of his presidency, go watch interviews with him in the 90s. He's a lot sharper. He was even sharper in 2015. His brain's is much slower than it was then. He's gained a bunch of weight. I'd be really shocked if his health was in good enough condition to run. I mean, Biden, as much as Biden's lost a step too, he does his Peloton every morning and eats healthy.
Yeah, but see, Mark, that means he's going to run his batteries down quicker.
Oh, because, yeah, right. Trump doesn't.
Yeah, because every human has batteries, and exercising depletes your batteries. So Joe Biden's fucking up. He's running out his own clock while Trump is storing it up. I'm sure y'all all know what I'm talking about. That's literally what Donald Trump believes about physical exercise, is that we have batteries basically inside of us, and exercising depletes them. So anyway, D. Murphine or Murphine says, well, now Trump is also facing a felony charge in Georgia. How can he possibly run again after this?
Well, I think the case law on this is you can't vote when you're a felon, but people have run for president from prison before. I think Lyndon LaRouche ran from prison once, and there's been other. I think Eugene Debs maybe ran for president as a socialist from prison. So he can run from prison even if they manage to lock him up, which they won't. But
there's something very that's so typical of American politics. I think that you can't vote if you're a felon, but you can run for and hold office apparently if you're a felon. They literally ruled, the Supreme Court in the 90s ruled that it was unconstitutional to randomly drug test members of Congress only. Anyone else can be randomly drug tested at any time, but for members of Congress, it's unconstitutional, which it is fucking unconstitutional. Anyway, sorry, before I get off on C.M. McKenzie says, but we have Junior, Eric, and Ivanka. That's their plan. Monarchy, dynasty. That's right. A fucking 1,000-year Reich for the Trumps. I mean, a lot of them do want that. So, what about that, Mark? Do you think that's what will happen in 2024? Ivanka's going to step up or something like that instead?
Yeah, supposedly there's Ivanka and Jared established residency in Florida, so Ivanka could do primary Marco Rubio, and Laura Trump wants to run in. There's going to be an open seat in North Carolina Senate for 2022, and Don Jr. says he's going to primary Liz Cheney in Wyoming, which he'd probably win that one pretty easy right now. She's not very popular in Wyoming. But yeah, I think Don Jr. probably wins, but the other two lose. And eventually Trump's going to die, and Trump's hold over the party is going to evaporate. Don Jr. doesn't have. He's probably closest to having it of any of the kids, but he doesn't have it.
Right? Yeah, none of them have it. Right? And you say, do you think it takes him dying for it to evaporate? Because we were talking earlier, we were jokingly talking about him being allowed to tweet only about certain things, but he's been deplatformed to, some extent, and his people can find him, and they will. But I don't know. Do you think he'll maintain his cultish influence regardless, literally up until he dies, or will it maybe fade regardless now that he's out of power and don't have Twitter and all that shit going on?
I mean, I think it's so weird because usually when people lose presidential elections, it's humiliating, especially if they if they're voted out of office as an incumbent, and usually they just go away out of shame and hurt, right? And he's probably licking his wounds a little bit. But like, I mean, Hillary wasn't seen for a year or two outside of walking around the woods when people take selfies with her. Mitt Romney went away for a few years until he decided he changed his image a little bit and moved to Utah and ran for Senate. McCain was still in the Senate and just did a bunch of butthurt stuff trying to sabotage Obama. And it's like these people usually, I mean, Al Gore grew a beard and got divorced and got real sad.
Oh, yeah, that's my boy. My boy Al. Yeah, my boy AG. Yeah. Hey, he's doing
I don't
fine.
think
he's doing just
great.
fine.
I don't think I know you've been to his birthday party. I'm not trying to I'm not trying to hurt your boy's feelings. I'm saying that's what happened. He got bored. He grew a beard. He gained a bunch of weight. Then he lost it again. Then he made some documentaries. Now he makes documentaries.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. AG's hitting the mark. Don't you worry about AG. But you said people lose, but that's the thing. Like, he hasn't lost. He literally hasn't admitted that he lost. Comment from Linda Rain says, I think it's more likely that one of the other Trump family members does get convicted of something. What about that? You think that's going to actually go down? I'm on record saying I don't believe Donald Trump himself is going to get actually convicted of shit. I just don't believe that type of thing happens in this fucking country. But some of his family members, I don't know. Maybe. What do you think, Mark?
So you watch enough gangster TV shows and movies, right? Like mafia stuff or like Sons of Anarchy. Yeah. So usually,
only the fake ones, for the record. I don't know shit about. I don't watch like documentaries, but I don't know actual facts. I just watch the fake version because it hits for me.
When you think about like historical, like Truth and Reconciliation Commissions or whatever, is like usually after shit goes really wrong, the public has like a certain amount of like bloodlust or like needs to see somebody punished to reassert norms and reassert.
Heads got to roll. Yeah.
It's like in a gangster stuff, it'd be like, you kill one of ours, you got to give up one of yours, and then we can go back to the way things were. So usually in this scenario, the cries for unity are bullshit, because usually in this scenario, what would happen is Republicans would agree to vote and convict and bar Trump from running for public office as a sign of unity so the country can move forward. Even if you don't think he deserves it, it's what you do to keep the peace. You give up one of your boys. Trump doesn't need to run for office. He doesn't. I mean, probably does need the money, but that's beside the point. Like, if you would throw him under the bus to make everyone happy. And what's happening is they're not relenting, right? They're not surrendering, even after losing. So I'm not sure what happens next. Nothing's going to let this steam out, it looks like. But it wouldn't surprise me if some enterprising prosecutor who wants to make a name for themselves in New York State or Biden Justice Department finds some shit that, I mean, they did a bunch of dirt. It wouldn't be that hard. Half of white collar business is technically illegal, just nobody gets prosecuted for it.
Right, and I do believe that Donald Trump would absolutely allow any of his children to go to prison before he did, or just period. If they were weak and dumb enough to get caught for it and prosecuted, then he prefers children that don't get caught committing felonies. That's what he prefers. Yeah. So I mean, he'd let any of them go down. He'd throw any of them down if it comes to that.
He'd testify. He'd testify against Don Jr. for free lunch. I don't know if you remember when the potential pardon list came out. All of his kids were on it except for Don Jr. Don Jr. really don't have for him.
That's so funny to me. Randy Albright, you've got the endorsement of a Randy here, Mark. So, you're not going to like this. Says, smart Mark is smart. Listen, stop denying it. We all know it. It's clear.
I would every time this comes up, I'm going to advise you guys to go read primary sources, because I don't know shit. I like talking about this stuff. I like talking to you guys about it, but I'm just fucking. I made everything up. There is no Donald Trump. I made him up.
Oh, Classic smart Mark. You knew the very first episode I called you that, and you're like, please don't call me that. You knew it was going to be a thing throughout the rest of time.
Well, they don't know why you do. They don't know why you do it. So I'll I mean, you do it to cover your own ass, and that's the. I guess it gets
what? Hold on a second. Lisa Letchworth says, "What about the SDNY? What's going on there? Southern District of New York. I've heard those rumors for a long time, or not rumors, whatever reports for a long time that the Southern District of New York had state charges against Donald Trump. They were just waiting until he wasn't protected by the cloak of the office of the presidency to press forward with. So what is up with that?
Well, SDNY is still a federal court, a federal jurisdiction. So there were just to backtrack to 2015, 2016. Preet Bharara was the deputy U.S. attorney for Southern District of New York, and he was investigating Russian money laundering, and he got fired like 2 days into Trump's term. And yada yada yada. They moved a bunch of dudes in and out of there. That's the district that had a bunch of FBI leaks out of it about Anthony Weiner's laptop, and that's the reason that not Mueller, the fucking James Comey had to come out and give that statement because there was so much pressure because of all these leaks about Hillary Clinton should be in prison. It's a very powerful district because it handles pretty much all U.S. commerce and all white collar stuff going through there.
Right.
Because it's Manhattan, and there's a lot of political infighting there. It's a very big place where a lot of very power hungry people. And it's possible there's some investigations in there, but I remember Barr fired a guy and replaced him at some point because of some shit he was doing. We don't know what they had on the Trump kids or whether that got squashed or whether paper shredders took it all out. So I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, we'll see. Listen, before we close up here in a couple minutes, what do you mean I'm covering my ass by calling you smart Mark? By speaking the truth. How's that covering my ass?
So here's how it works. You go like, I hear something happened today. Mark, tell me about it. But if I say it, I either right or wrong, and you just get to make jokes about it. And when things actually incorrect,
it's called color commentary, Mark. All right, that's what it's doing. That's what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, you're right. You're right. You ain't ever lied. You're smart, Mark. You're smart about stuff. You know what's up.
See, you're just like Kevin Spacey in Usual Suspects, where you're playing dumb the whole time, right? But I didn't.
Well, I ain't been trying to play dumb. Hell, I've been trying to play smart. Obviously, I ain't pulling that off.
You established that dynamic the first episode. I didn't figure it out for like 2 months. So who's the fucking
roll with it,
smart
baby?
one?
Yeah, right. yeah. Don't blame me. Blame smart Mark.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, thank you all very much for joining us. Just about out of time. We had said we were going to start announcing this, so we are going to. And so y'all know, we're planning on in March, for a lot of reasons, we're about to shift to a weekly format. So we'll still be here live every Tuesday, but we're thinking about just going down to just Tuesdays. Because maybe we are stupidly optimistic that there won't be as much bullshit to cover, but B, because if we have one a week, we can, concentrate more of our energy on just doing that and making that one show hit, and it's easier for y'all to keep up with. So starting in March, we're planning on going to a weekly show and also calling it Weekly Skews. Nothing changes, everything's fine, but I just want y'all to know that's what we're planning on right now.
Yeah, it's like we gotta make this fit into our lives in a way that makes sense. And
another huge reason is it'll still be months. Who knows if it'll ever happen? But I'm still hoping to get back out on the road at some point and do comedy live in front of people. And if and when that happens, Thursdays are just almost never going to be possible because I'll be in front of some of y'all's faces, I hope. So for that also, and countless other reasons, we're going to go to just Tuesdays in March. But we'll be here the rest of this month.
One of you motherfuckers stole eveningskews.com, so Weekly Skews is still available. So that's part of the reason.
That is also true, yes. Evening Skews got scooped out from under us by, some enterprise.
Son of a bitch.
Motherfucker out there. But anyway, whatever. None of that's that important. Again, show's still going to be the show. Everything's going to be fine. We love y'all. We will be here this Thursday. We will be back in 48 hours, and we'll see y'all then.